What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another weather forecast. This is going to be a very exciting video for those who love the tropics, as this will be my official hurricane season forecast for the North Atlantic for the 2021 hurricane season. So it's going to be very exciting. I have my official forecast. I was going to have this video out on June 1st, but I decided, since I haven't posted in the past 2 days, might as well do it today because I've been very off my schedule lately, and I do apologize for that. But again, we're going to be going through my official forecast. I'm going to go through all the maps, including activity, season hurricanes, the chance that you get a landfall, and of course I have the amount of storms, hurricanes, and majors I think will happen at the very end of the video here. But before we get into the forecast, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you like hurricane forecast. As well, be sure to smash that like button so YouTube can recommend this video to more people. And as well, last but not least, smash that bell icon notification so you can get notified when I have more hurricane forecasts or videos in general. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So here's a look now at the activity. So many of these maps are very similar to my forecast from last week, because I don't want to keep changing my maps every single forecast, because then it looks very inconsistent, and the more inconsistent it is, the less probability is going to be accurate. So I'm just going to keep these maps how they already are. So many of these maps are the same as my last forecast. But activity wise, I do think much of the season in general will be above average, like I did say in my forecast around 3 or 4 days ago. I did say it can most likely be like a 2017 type season where we have anywhere from maybe 17 to 19 storms, possibly even more than that here. But I do think our very active area, or the hotspot, is going to be for portions of the southeast coast of the United States and much of the Caribbean, including Puerto Rico, Hispaniola, Cuba, as well. When I say southeast coast, I mean anywhere from the northeast and north central Gulf of Mexico to portions of the Carolinas. So in general, if this is verified to be an MDR year, I think we're going to be seeing a lot of long track storms that we did not get to see in 2020 because of the amount of shear and Saharan dust there was limiting a ton of storms, which is why last year was more of a Gulf season and Western Caribbean season, because the MDR could not get its hold itself here. We saw one or two storms, but those storms that actually were able to successfully develop in the MDR, they did go out to sea. So I think this year will be a different scenario. I think this year will be like a 2017 type MDR. I don't really mean like category 5s and all that, but I do mean long track wise, developing in the middle of the MDR and making their way all the way up to the United States. But in general, if you are in the pink on the coastal area, whether it's the Caribbean or Florida or whatever, I think you guys have a chance to get a ton of activity here. Don't take this 100% though, because obviously it can change, or this could be completely wrong. But I do think I have a lot of confidence based on long range models. And then in the purple color, which includes much of the northwest Atlantic and much of the eastern coast of the United States, I think we'll be seeing anywhere from average to slightly above activity here. So it doesn't mean there's going to be more landfalls. I just think within this whole purple area, I think it could be anywhere from average to slightly above average activity, whether it's a storm out to sea near Bermuda or a storm that hits the mid-Atlantic. We already did see our first storm of the season develop here in this region in the northwest Atlantic. I believe it was Anna. So we already kind of have one storm for the season here. So if we have like one or two more, I think it'll kind of be slightly above average. But it's going to be like a wild card, basically. And then last but not least, in that red color, I think it's going to be on and off activity. And this was how it was labeled in my last forecast. And on and off just means we're basing up time period where we see a good amount of storms, whether it's the Bay of Campeche or whether it's the Western Caribbean. And then we're going to be seeing kind of like on and off. So I don't think it's going to be like the last year where you see like a ton of storms rolling in the area within a 2-3 month time period. I think it's just going to be, like I said, on and off. Like a second wild card, basically. It's going to be maybe one storm, let's say in September, and then a big time period without any storms. Like it's just going to be dead in some portions and slightly active in some areas. So it's going to basically be anywhere from average to slightly above average, or sorry, average to slightly below average activity in that red color. I just think there's not going to be that much activity in the area. So if you live in Texas, it does not mean you're not going to get any landfalls, and that's exactly why it goes on and off, because it can vary for a ton of areas. If you're in the northern coast of Colombia, obviously you guys won't see a landfall, but if you're near Houston, you guys have a way better chance of landfall. So it kind of just varies depending where you live in that red color. Let's go ahead and look at the season hurricane probability. So this is map is kind of measuring the probability of you getting a hurricane landfall if you live on the coast, or if it's in the middle of the ocean. It measures the probability of having a hurricane move within that area or that time or in that location. So we're gonna be starting off with the orange. Orange signifies a low chance for either a landfall if it's on the coast, or a low chance of having a hurricane in the area if it's out to sea, or if it's because you see these oranges aren't, or these colors aren't just on the coast, they're kind of spread out. So if it's a red in the middle of the ocean, obviously it just means a decent probability or whatever for that to be in the area. So in the orange, obviously we have quite a bit of areas that are in the orange. Obviously, we have the far southern Caribbean and portions of the northern South American coast as well. We do have oranges for portions of the Northwest Atlantic, oranges for portions of Georgia and East Florida coast, and oranges for portions much off of Central America from the Bay of Campeche to Belize to all the way to areas like Panama City. So as well, we have another orange area for portions of South Hispaniola and near Jamaica. So if the coastal areas that are in this orange, it just means there's going to be a low chance that a hurricane makes landfall in that area. So obviously, there's going to be a low chance for hurricanes in Nova Scotia. I don't see any chances for hurricane landfalls near Jamaica or the southern portion of Hispaniola. I know you see a sharp cutoff between pink and orange and Hispaniola. It just means there's going to be a way better chance these storms stay north of Hispaniola. You don't typically see these storms or hurricanes make landfalls on southern Hispaniola, really. That's typically not the case when it comes to long track storms. As well, I don't see a good chance for any hurricanes making landfall in the east and northeast coast of Florida. I don't see any big landfalls for Jacksonville, Savannah, Georgia, even West Palm Beach may be a little bit on the iffy side. You can kind of see there's a lot of sharp cutoffs, though, between Florida and a portion of the Caribbean. Just really kind of depends on how these storms react. In the red color, we do have a likely chance of a hurricane landfall or within the area. So as you go in kind of more variable areas, like the Texas region, the northwest portion of Florida, the Carolinas, and portions there of the central Caribbean, are basically better chances of hurricanes to make landfall or move within the area. So this includes areas like the Carolinas, like the Outer Banks there, portions of Wilmington, Myrtle Beach. You guys have a way better chance to see hurricane landfalls or within your area compared to Savannah, Georgia, and Jacksonville as well. We do have a way better chance of having hurricanes to move within this area as well. If they do go out to sea or if they kind of turn north like that, it's obviously going to be a way better chance. And by the time they get up here, they most likely will weaken to a tropical storm or post-tropical with the cooler waters. But just looking at really favorable conditions for these hurricanes that kind of move kind of within this area here. That's kind of the reason why we have orange scattered across specific areas, because it's just a very low chance to see a hurricane go all the way down here or a hurricane make landfall in this portion. It's just not too common. Obviously, it doesn't mean it won't happen. That's why it's low and not 0 chance. Obviously, you can never guarantee a 0% or 100% for something to happen. And of course, in the pink, this is where I have kind of my bullseye, the specific bullseye right now. So I'm not sure what color's gonna work best. So let's say we have some storms kind of develop across the MDR frequently across the year. I don't know why it shows pink. That was the worst color to choose. So let's say we have some mini storms going this way, developing the MDR between July and September, and it's just gonna be just a better chance that they move within this pink. I mean, it's really the pathway. It's like the staircase to the Gulf of Mexico, the staircase to the Western Atlantic. I mean, this is just typically where storms go. They go kind of towards Puerto Rico, maybe touch the Keys, and that's why they rather start to scatter out. Because if they do manage to go up to the north west, it's still going to be near the Carolinas, or if it goes a little bit more to the south here, just kind of between Jamaica and the Western Caribbean there. So I just think areas like Puerto Rico, much of the Northern Caribbean, South Central and Southeastern Florida coast, and just the North Central and Northeastern Gulf of Mexico, you guys have a very likely chance of having at least one hurricane landfall. Let's go ahead and now look at the season number of storms within certain regions here. This has not changed as well. I'm very confident with this. Maybe numbers may go a little bit higher, but let's go ahead and start with the yellows. So the yellows are pretty widespread across portions of the northwestern and north central Atlantic, and we have another region, the complete opposite region, in the southwestern portion of the Atlantic Ocean, specifically in areas where you don't typically see that many amount of storms. So we have 1 to 3 in those yellow regions, so it doesn't mean we're only be seeing 1 to 3. These are going to be two areas. So let's say we have 2 storms here, we have maybe 2 storms here, that's already 4, because we already have 1 with Anna, obviously, so that kind of already marks 1, so that means maybe we can have 1 to 2 more storms, or maybe 1 to 3, because obviously maybe the MDR can bring a ton of out-to-sea storms, or maybe we have more storms that develop within this region alone, so it's kind of just really watching out for the yellow areas, and that does include obviously the northeast coast. So it does not mean there's going to be 1 to 3 landfalls. This means there's going to be 1 to 3 storms within your region. I mean, that could be maybe 1 landfall for the northeast, maybe 2 landfalls at most, but it does not mean 1 to 3 landfalls. It just means 1 to 3 storms within that yellow region of the Atlantic Ocean. Same thing goes for the other yellow region. Does not mean 1 to 3 landfalls for Galveston. It just means 1 to 3 storms within the region. Obviously, that's why it's 1 to 3 across the whole yellow area. So it does not mean 1 to 3 for Bay of Campeche. It means 1 to 3 between Texas and the Lesser Antilles. 1 to 3 storms within that region. Maybe that 1 storm it's for Jamaica, and that's it. That's it for the season. Again, it's really hard to explain, but you guys probably get it since I already have more than 1 forecast for this as well. We have really large, widespread 2 to 4 amount of storms here, and that's going to kind of be more for the hotspot areas like the western MDR portions of the Carolinas and southeast coast of the United States and portions of the Caribbean. So 2 to 4 storms within the region. This is all kind of one large area, so it means there can be 2 to 4 within the whole region. So maybe 1 in the MDR, maybe 1 for the Carolinas, maybe 1 for Tallahassee. I mean, it's just going to be really scattered. Maybe we can have 1 storm here, and then maybe 1 storm develop here, and then maybe 1 storm maybe happen here. So that kind of already makes 3. That's why this range is a little bit larger. And then last but not least, in the bullseye region, in the pink, we do have 3 to 6. Does not mean 3 to 6 landfalls. So we have 3 to 6 landfalls for Miami. That would be devastating. This means 3 to 6 storms within this whole region, from Lake Charles all the way up to the MDR, where you can see anywhere from 3 to 6 storms here. So maybe we have 1 here, and that kind of counts off for that whole 1. And then we have maybe another 1 right behind it. Maybe you guys get it. So overall, the hotspot for storms could very well be where we have that very active area. Season number storms. So this number is going to be a lot lower compared to the amount of storms in general. So in the gray color, we have 0 to 1, and the same rule applies. Just because you're maybe labeled 1 to 2, does not mean it's 1 to 2 landfalls. It just means within that whole color, it means 1 to 2. In that large gray area that covers much of the Atlantic is 0 to 1. So obviously we have very low chance of any hurricanes as far as the far eastern MDR. Typically, you don't see storms in the MDR that come off Africa develop into hurricanes until they get closer to the Lesser Antilles, or even all the way up into like the Caribbean. But maybe that's why it's 0 to 1. Maybe there's 1 chance for maybe a strong storm to develop already far in the eastern MDR. Very low chance for any storms near the southwest Caribbean to be a hurricane. Same thing goes for the Bay of Campeche. And same thing goes for like a small little area near Savannah, Georgia, and Florida. Very low chance of hurricanes within that region. Same thing applies for the northeast coast of the United States. In the 1 to 2 shaded area, you get yellow. It's a little bit more kind of specified in certain regions, including portions of the MDR. So as we go gradually to the west, a better chance for hurricanes to develop. So 1 to 2 in that yellow area, so maybe 1 to 2 hurricanes within the region in the Carolinas. Same thing for the Panhandle of Florida, and this goes across for portions of the Texas region. So as you go and look at these deeper colors, the more chance of hurricanes. Obviously, there's a decent chance for storms to go like this compared to storms going like this, and it's just common sense. Same thing here, maybe out to see storms like that. So it's kind of just common sense, and it kind of all puzzles together, and it all makes sense once you get the gist of it. And the 2 to 4, same thing. Obviously, better chance for storms to go this way here more frequently to go within this region, and obviously in the 3+ region, this is, you can kind of see a trend here. This is kind of the trend for the hotspot, and if you're continuing to see yourself in the hot pink, don't freak out. I mean, it's just a preliminary forecast. I mean, this is my official forecast, but you can kind of see. Oops, I just realized they're not going to be the same, or overlap. But you get it. But obviously, like, we're going to be seeing a lot less chance of hurricanes to go all the way that north or develop as far east as the islands right here. I mean, it's just layers, I guess. So you can kind of see better chance for storms in the 1 to 2 region than the 0 to 1, better chance for storms to go 2 to 4 than it is for the 1 to 2, and then obviously better chance for big hurricanes possibly developing the 3+ than in the 2 to 4. And then let's go ahead and look at my overall forecast, and then we'll get into the final numbers. So this is obviously the same thing as my last forecast 3 to 4 days ago. I do see an active feeder. That means obviously active MDR, because the MDR can very well be a big role into the season's activity level. If the MDR is not verified to be active this year, I think we'll be seeing a more average to slightly below average season. But I think the MDR is going to be a big time feeder for late June, much of July, portions of August, and maybe a little bit of September. I think after mid-September, it's going to die out. But I do see the active feeder, so that's going to really be a big factor into the other regions, like out to sea. If it's an active MDR, we see a lot of out to sea storms. If it's an active MDR, this will be the hotspot, and I see that a lot for some other storms to kind of surround that, which is exactly what's active. And if it is an active MDR, we won't be seeing that many storms go into this region, so that means a little activity. So obviously active in the areas of the red, the big hotspot for the Caribbean and southeast coast of the United States. Wild card there for portions of the northeast, and a lot less activity than normal, or at least compared to last year, for portions of the far western coast, or far western far western Atlantic Ocean. Here are my final numbers here. These have not changed. I don't want to keep changing them. Obviously, I'll keep continuing to change these numbers as we go further in the season. But this is what I have so far. 16 to 24 additional storms here. So that does not count. Ana does not count as 16 to 24. So that means we can see anywhere from 17 to maybe 25 storms this year. Obviously, that's a big number. But I do have confidence that we can at least see 17. 25 is a little bit on the a little bit iffy. There's a reason why there's a there's a reason why there's such a big number or range from 17 to 25. That's a pretty big range. That's 8, I believe. So I mean that's a big difference. That's basically saying 0 to 8. And the reason why it's such a big range is because it just depends on how active the MDR is, and it just kind of depends on the other areas like the Gulf of Mexico and let's say the Western Caribbean. I mean, we already see one before the June 1st. So, I mean, I do definitely see a pretty active peak this year. So that's why, but then my numbers are a little bit higher compared to other YouTubers. But I do see 16 to 24 additional storms, 9 to 12 hurricanes, and 3 to 6 major hurricanes. I think the hurricane and majors is a little bit kind of more related to other people and YouTubers. But I think my storms numbers are a little bit high. But I do think I have confidence in it. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you guys did enjoy this official forecast, and hopefully we can have another big official forecast for next season. But see you guys later.